Have you ever seen someone suddenly lose control? Not just irritation or frustration, but pure rage. The kind that makes people yell, slam doors, or lash out at anyone nearby. Maybe you've been stuck behind a driver who cuts you off, and the horn blares. Your hands grip the wheel, and you feel yourself flare. That surge, that fiery, almost uncontrollable reaction, it's rage. You might wonder, what just snapped inside them? Why does anger explode in some people, while others seem calm no matter what? The answer isn't simple. It's psychological, deep, and it often begins long before the first outburst. Anger is not just a feeling. It's a chemical reaction. When the brain senses a threat, real or imagined, the amygdala lights up like an alarm bell. Adrenaline surges, the heart races, muscles tense, breathing accelerates. Your body prepares to fight or flee. But modern life rarely lets us do either. The energy stays inside. It builds, it twists, it turns into aggression, irritation, resentment. Some people release it quickly. Others bottle it until it explodes. Rage often shows up in everyday life. Road rage is a perfect example. Someone cuts in front of you. You flare instantly, maybe scream, maybe tailgate. At work, it can look like snapping at a coworker over a minor mistake. On social media, it can be a storm of words, attacking someone who disagrees with you. The triggers can be small, almost trivial, but the reactions feel huge. That's because rage is rarely about the moment itself. It's about everything inside you that hasn't been resolved. Here's the thing. Rage is rarely about anger itself. It is a signal, a message that something is wrong, that you feel powerless, betrayed, misunderstood, or disrespected. People who rage often learned early that subtle communication didn't work. A child who shouted and got ignored, or punished for showing fear or sadness, learned that quiet feelings offer no protection. Anger became the tool that guaranteed attention. Not because they wanted to hurt anyone, though it can, but because it worked. Trauma shapes rage in ways most people don't see. Chronic bullying, emotional neglect, or growing up in volatile households teach the brain that danger is constant, trust is risky, and control is survival. Some people respond by avoiding conflict entirely. Others respond by dominating it through anger. This is not random. It is a learned strategy. Even adults with calm exteriors carry a rage threshold, a point where years of suppressed fear, frustration, and unmet needs suddenly spill over. Rage is amplified by the way we interpret events. Small slights can feel massive when the mind twists reality. Someone cuts in line, and it feels like a personal attack. A coworker misses a deadline, and it feels like sabotage. Your partner forgets to text back, and it feels like rejection. These thoughts fuel the storm, escalating anger into full-blown rage. The more rigid these thought patterns, the more explosive the reaction. And there is another layer few people notice. Rage often hides shame. Feeling powerless, humiliated, ignored. These emotions are painful. When someone can't admit or tolerate those feelings, anger becomes the mask. It is easier to roar than to say, I feel small, scared, or rejected. For some, anger even becomes identity. Being the angry one gives control, even if it isolates them. Rage also thrives on what psychologists call cognitive distortions. Catastrophizing, personalizing, and black and white thinking turn minor slights into monumental attacks. You interpret a friend's cancelling as a personal betrayal. You see a traffic jam as deliberate cruelty. You read tone in a text that isn't there. The mind magnifies the threat, and the body reacts accordingly. Breaking the cycle doesn't mean suppression. You cannot calm rage by pretending it isn't there. It begins with noticing what triggers you. what thoughts spiral into anger, and where you are trying to protect yourself. It begins with pausing instead of reacting. Naming the emotion, fear, hurt, frustration, before it becomes a storm. Learning that discomfort doesn't have to lead to destruction. Every time you recognize the spark before it becomes a fire, you gain control. Every time you step back, you choose calm over chaos. Every time you face the fear behind the anger, you reclaim a piece of yourself. Anger is not weakness. Rage is not random. It is a signal, a warning, a story of survival, pain, and unmet needs. And when you confront the story, you begin to transform it. That driver you yelled at, the co-worker you snapped at, the friend you lashed out at, they are not the real problem. The problem is the storm inside you. And when you learn to face it, to understand it, you stop being controlled by it. You start shaping the energy into action instead of destruction. You start turning shards into patterns, chaos into control. Rage is powerful, but so is the mind that understands it. The person who knows why they explode can learn to respond. They can see the fear and the shame and choose differently. Because the moment you understand the anger, you stop being a prisoner to it. And that's where real transformation begins.